Happy New Year's to everybody. Finally in 2025, it's going to be a big year for all of us. I could feel it. But I want y'all to imagine this. Imagine you are in the JoJo universe and you meet a Joestar, right? And they ask you if you want to take a bizarre adventure with them and if you want to help them beat this random antagonist, overpowered too. Do you say yes? I know me personally, I'm saying no. No, I don't. And to me, the reason I'm saying no is pretty simple. I'm not trying to turn into a memory. Now, one thing about JoJo and about side characters in specific in JoJo, there's always going to be at least one every part that goes down. That's a given. It's to be expected. But if you land up in a bad time frame, might be 4 or 5 side characters that just go down within the part. And most of you may know the part I'm really referring to, part 5. When I think about part 5 and being a side character in part 5, I would just immediately get the gun. There's no reason for me to be there. I'm not helping. It doesn't matter what my stand is. No, me and Fugo would have said no, and they would have been out of luck. Because we're just talking about part 5. Diablo was a beast. He was not one of those villains that are waiting for you to come to them, waiting for you to find out everything about him. No, he's walking you down, and he's calmly doing it too, and no one's gonna know. But when we're talking about in general, the reason I mainly say being a side character would suck is because the amount of lethal damage you see side characters take, even if they don't die, the amount of lethal damage they take is actually absurd. Look at someone like Okuyasu. That man literally was this close to dying. This close. Or look at Polnareff. Not only throughout part 3, but also throughout part 5. In both parts, Polnareff was getting his ass kicked by Dio and Diablo, respectively. But he was still there. It's also the fact that if you are a side character that does make it out unscathed, there's a chance you might be brought back for the next part. Look at Speedwagon, for example. Speedwagon, part 1, he was fine. He made it out unscathed, untouched. Part 2, it was definitely a lot more of a struggle for Speedwagon in particular. Because I don't know if y'all remember, but he got killed. And then the Germans brought him back to life. Then he had to witness a bunch of people get killed around him. But he also helped fight against the Pillarmen, like later in the part. Like, Speedwagon's definitely a GOAT. I don't talk about Speedwagon enough. Definitely a GOAT. But I will say this, being a side character, it increases your chances of having a cold ass stand. Because Araki, he'll never put a side character in who really got a trash ass stand. Like for stands since part 3, thinking about all the side characters, I don't think there's been a singular side character that stand is really something that I would say is just complete garbage. But just because your stand is cool doesn't mean it's anywhere near the strongest, fastest, or the one with the most hacks. So every time you run into a main antagonist as a side character, 9 times out of 10, you're done. Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I think Polnareff is like the only one to technically have encounters with Dio and Diablo and live. Cause you remember Dio kept putting him back at the bottom of the stairs. And then Diablo caught him in Egypt. Then he caught him again in 2001 when the series was actually going on. But I haven't even talked about one of the most important parts to being a side character in JoJo. And that is the tragic ass, sad ass backstory you're mandatory to get. Like, it doesn't matter the part. More than likely, you could find at least one side character who has just a horrid backstory, super tragic, super dark, and you're just like, oh my god, why did you have to go through that? Like, just thinking off the top of my dome, there's part 5, part 6, part 7, mostly, part 3, part 2, and all those different parts. Like, I would say the entire cast of part 6 has a sad ass backstory. Probably the entire cast of part 5 also has a sad ass backstory. Majority of the cast in part 3, which would be like we don't know Abdal's backstory, but Polnareff and Kakyoin, sad. And then part 2, again, Lisa and Caesar. Both them niggas was struggling and had a sad ass backstory. Lisa literally had to live her life in hiding. I would rather just not go at all. But that's all I got for y'all today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, we're on the road to 2K. Peace.